having gone over externalities, the market interest rate model, and pigovian taxes, we will now go through a case study, the case study being the Great Recession of 2008. In going through this case study, we will synthesize the externalities, the market interest rate model, and pigovian taxes. Okay? And also, in going through this case study, it is my hope that you learn several items from this case study. First of all, it is my hope that you learn how to apply not only these three concepts in this case study, but in equivalent case studies in the future, that you would be able to appropriately apply these three as well as other economic concepts. Also, it is my hope we will do some critical components of this case study where we ask what are both the positive aspects as well as the negative aspects of the case study. And specifically with the negative aspects of the case study, we will ask some critical questions based on those negative aspects, and see if we can number one, come up with an answer for those questions, and number two, if those answers are satisfactory or not, or if further questions need to be asked, or if maybe there will be some unknown that shall nevertheless remain. So it's my hope that with this case study that you will learn how to assess those critical components, and in learning how to do it with this case study, it is my hope that you'll be able to know how to do it with other, similarly with other case studies in the future. So, having said that, we will now go through the case study. Now, the Great Recession of 2008 had several causes. I will go through one of the biggest causes today in going through our case study. That cause being the residential mortgages. Okay? Now, remember, as we had gone through in class previously, residential mortgages are simply a type of loan. And as we had also gone over in class previously, with any type of loan, you have oftentimes have several critical components. Okay? With each loan, you generally have a lender, a borrower, and the lender gives loan finances to the borrower upon entrance into the loan. And also upon entrance into the loan, the borrower signs a loan agreement and gives that to the lender. With most loans, the borrower pays back the lender over time the full amount of the original loan plus interest. Now, what generally happened in the old days is the lender would hold the loan over the time of repayment of the loan. Okay. However, in the recent time leading up to, especially the Great Recession of 2008, that oftentimes did not happen. What happened instead was rather a situation that looked more like this. Let's say our lender is called Lender A, just to illustrate what typically happened in the time leading up to the Great Recession 2008 instead. We have Lender A, and we have Borrower A. Okay, lender A would similarly give loan finances to borrower A. Borrower A would similarly sign a loan agreement with lender A. But what would happen is lender A wouldn't hold the loan over the full term of repayment of the loan. Okay, instead, what lender A would do is lender A would sell the loan to another party. Let's call it party 1. Okay. So what party 1 would do is party 1 So what would happen is party 1 would purchase the loan from lender A. Party 1 would give lender A some value to purchase the loan, and then in exchange, lender A would give the security of the loan to party 1. Okay. Now, why this oftentimes was done is two big reasons. Okay, and this goes back to the market interest rate model that we had discussed in class. Now remember, as we had gone over in class previously, the market interest rate model is basically a formula that consists of IN equals IR plus EP plus RP plus LP. And again, as we had gone through in class previously, IR is the risk-free rate of interest, EP is the expected or projected rate of inflation, usually over a given year, RP is the risk premium, LP is the liquidity premium, and IN is the nominal interest rate. Okay? Now, think about it this way. Typically what would happen is, especially in the time leading up to the Great Recession in 2008, this would happen where the lenders would sell the loan to another party. Okay? And this was particularly easier because of the computer. So a common example was a borrower would sign a loan with the lender, and 15 minutes after that loan was signed, that lender would sell that loan over the computer to another party. So especially with the computers, these loans were not only able to be sold from the original lender to another party, but they were able to be sold in a rapid fashion. Okay? So let's think about that for a second, okay? Let's say in our situation, lender A, after 15 minutes after originally coming to an agreement with the loan with borrower A, let's say 15 minutes after that, they sell off the loan to party 1. That basically means lender A effectively only held the loan, for 15 minutes. Okay? Think about it this way. Remember our market interest rate model? What this changes in our market interest rate model is, in particular, RP and LP. Just think about it. RP is the risk premium, which is the risk that, while a lender is holding the loan and time comes to repay the loan, it's that risk that, while I, the lender, am holding the loan, what if the borrower who has that loan doesn't pay me back in satisfaction? So then that RP is meant to compensate for the cost of that risk, to pay for the cost of that risk. Normally, if I'm going to sell the loan, especially with the computer, I'm going to sell it so quickly that I'm going to sell the loan before the repayment comes due, which basically means I effectively make my risk premium zero to me, the original lender. So my risk premium becomes zero, so risk premium goes down. Also, look at liquidity premium. Remember, as we had also gone through previously in class, the liquidity premium is that risk that, okay, I'm going to have, because basically I'm not going to be able to collect back cash on the loan until that loan enters repayment, which, there's usually a delay between the time the loan's issued and the time of repayment of the loan. In that in between time, I can't really collect cash on the loan. But if I'm selling it, again, if I'm lender A and I'm selling that loan 15 minutes after it's originally created, to another party, then basically that means, the loan was only not turned into cash for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, it was sold for cash, so it was turned to cash within those 15 minutes. Which basically means, if I can sell something for cash within 15 minutes, I would say it's pretty liquid asset. So in other words, the liquidity of the loan goes up if I can sell it immediately before it enters repayment, at which time I can collect cash on repayment. So that means our liquidity premium, that would be charged in the interest rate. Because of the difficulty of turning a loan into cash, that difficulty would go down. Thus, that liquidity premium costs in the interest rate would go down. So our liquidity premium would go down basically to zero. If I'm selling it as quickly as 15 minutes, it's basically there's no liquidity difficulty at all. There's basically no liquidity cost at all. Liquidity premium goes to zero. Liquidity premium goes down. Because risk premium goes down and liquidity premium goes down, nominal interest rate goes down. Okay? Now, here's the thing. What you may be asking yourself, well then, where's if you're just going to sell your loan off to someone else really quickly before the loan enters repayment, where is your incentive to make sure that you only have borrowers of the loan who have a reasonable chance based on their credit history of paying back on that loan? Well, the answer is if I'm the original lender and I'm going to sell it off to someone else who will then take that responsibility to collect on loan repayment, I don't really have that incentive. I could give that loan to someone who someone who based on their credit history doesn't really deserve the loan. But I know, even if their credit history is bad, by the time it comes to repay the loan and they're unable to repay it, well, by that time I sold it to another person, at which time it'll become that person's problem. So that's what happened is because of this situation, you had too many loans being issued at too low of rates of interest to too many people, particularly too many people with bad credit history and bad credit risk. Okay. Now you may be asking, well then, why would party one agree to this? Why would party one buy that loan? If that person may not be a good borrower based on their credit history and be subsequently unable to pay back the loan in satisfaction. The answer is party one will do exactly what lender A did. So in our example, let's say party one sells loan to party two. Okay. You may be asking, well then why would party two buy the loan? Because they're going to do it. So they sell it for, in our example, let's say they sell it to party three. Well, you might ask, well, why would party three do it? Because then again, they will sell that to another party. And so it goes on. And so it goes on and on. So each party that buys a loan, they just keep selling it to another party. You have a risk premium because there's that risk that that borrower might not pay back on the loan.